Dennis Rodman, chaos in human form. If the NBA had a joker, his name was Dennis Rodman. He wasn't just a rebounder, he was chaos wearing sneakers. One night his hair was neon green, the next it was cheetah print. He'd wrestle Karl Malone one week, then disappear to Vegas, with Hulk Hogan the next. But here's the thing. Behind the wild nights and tattoos, Rodman was a basketball genius. He could guard every position, out-rebound 7-footers, and make legends lose their cool. Opponents hated him because he'd drag you into his world of madness. You wanted to beat him? Too bad. He wasn't playing basketball, he was playing psychological warfare. And somehow, it worked. Fans booed him in Detroit, booed him louder in Chicago, but secretly, they loved him. Because every time Rodman stepped on the court, you knew something insane was about to happen. He wasn't just a villain, he was a show. Draymond Green, the kick heard around the world. If Dennis Rodman was chaos in the 90s, Draymond Green is chaos in the 2000s. He's the guy you hate unless he's on your team. Draymond kicks Steven Adams below the belt and then argues it wasn't intentional. He screams at refs until his face turns the same shade of green as his jersey. He racks up technical fouls like he's collecting Pokemon cards. But the reason he's still in the league? He's brilliant. The Warriors don't win 4 championships without him. He's the defensive quarterback, the trash-talking hype man, and the guy who makes Steph Curry feel 10 feet taller. Still, ask LeBron in 2016 if Draymond isn't a villain. That suspension flipped the finals. The Warriors went from 73-9 immortals to 3-1 choke artists. And Draymond's fingerprints were all over it. Love him, hate him, laugh at him. Draymond Green is the NBA's modern menace, and deep down, you can't stop watching him. Reggie Miller, Spike Lee's worst nightmare. If Trash Talk had a Hall of Fame, Reggie Miller would be the first inductee. He wasn't just a shooter, he was a villain straight out of a movie. The scene, Madison Square Garden, 1995. 8 points in 9 seconds. Reggie hits a 3, steals the inbounds, hits another 3, and then the choke sign at Spike Lee. The Knicks weren't just losing. They were getting humiliated. New York hated him more than traffic and rent combined. But that's what made Reggie thrive. He loved being the bad guy. He thrived off booze. He wanted your anger. And the scarier part? He usually delivered the dagger right after talking trash. Reggie wasn't the strongest, fastest, or flashiest. But as a villain, he was elite. Fans hated his guts. And now, they miss him because the NBA hasn't had a troll quite like Reggie Miller since. Bill Laimbeer, the master of pain. Every era has villains. But the 80s had Bill Laimbeer, the man who turned basketball into hand-to-hand combat. Laimbeer wasn't quick. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't even that athletic. But he had one gift: pain. If you drove into the lane against Detroit, you weren't just going for a layup. You were entering Laimbeer's torture chamber. Elbows, shoves, hard fouls. He played like the referee was just another obstacle to get around. Opponents called him dirty. Fans called him a disgrace. Detroit called him a champion. The Celtics hated him. The Bulls hated him. Michael Jordan hated him so much that the Pistons walking off in 1991 without shaking hands still stings today. Laimbeer didn't care if you loved him. In fact, he preferred you didn't. Because every time fans booed, it only fueled his bad boy energy. He was the villain that made Detroit unforgettable. Kobe Bryant, the villain superstar. Not every villain is dirty. Some villains are just too good, and that was Kobe Bryant. To Lakers fans, Kobe was the hero. To everyone else, he was the destroyer. He dropped 81 points on Toronto. He hit dagger after dagger. He smiled as he ripped your team's heart out. Kobe's villain arc wasn't built on cheap shots. It was built on dominance. He wanted to beat you, embarrass you, and then let you know he did it. The scowl, the trash talk, the work ethic. Kobe wasn't just competing. He was conquering. Every arena he entered, he was the villain, and that's exactly how he liked it. He wasn't here to be loved, he was here to be legendary. And for every fan who booed, there are now 10 who admit, deep down, they miss hating Kobe. Allen Iverson, the rebellious villain. If the NBA was a movie, Allen Iverson wasn't the villain you hated. He was the anti-hero you couldn't ignore. The tattoos, the braids, the baggy clothes, the infamous practice rant. Iverson was everything the NBA didn't want, and everything fans loved. He scared the league because he refused to fit the mold. On the court, he was fearless. 6 feet tall, but playing like he was 10 feet. He crossed up Jordan, dropped 50 on playoff defenses, and carried Philly to the finals basically by himself. But to the NBA establishment, he was trouble. To fans, he was culture. Iverson was booed, fined, criticized, and still became one of the most beloved villains in league history. Because villains aren't always dirty. Sometimes they're just too real. The NBA's villains weren't just players. They were the characters that made the story unforgettable. Because here's the truth. You don't get legends without villains. And in basketball, sometimes the villains steal the whole show.